Talking about fans, Paul, what's the craziest thing you've ever did or said during a game?
I once yelled at Lou Holtz, called him an old fart, and he looked back at me, and I got embarrassed and set my butt down. What'd you do?
Told the other team to perform a sex act during neck at Tiger Stadium.
Okay, we're continuing our discussion about rabid fans in the world of sports, but before we continue, we want to introduce to our YouTube fans and our YouTube universe out there, to our new colleague, Ryan Kennedy. Come on in, Ryan. Ryan is our new principal photographer, director of photography,
Co-producer,
technical producer,
A little bit of everything.
pretty much every title Paul and I don't have, this guy does.
Yeah, he does everything. Location scout, that whole thing. Ryan, welcome to the team.
Well, thank you. I think it's a great opportunity. I'm looking forward to working with you guys, and I see a bright future in the sports reporting.
Good. But we're happy to hear that. Nice product placement.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, support the Pelicans.
Nice of you to be wearing the old school Adidas warm-up jacket.
That's right.
Rabid fans, I'm sure you see them at some of the Pelicans games.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts?
Especially on the message boards of Pelicans games. People are like, fire Monty, fire Dell, you know, and they don't realize the bigger picture where firing a coach in the middle of the season, that's going to lead to anything, you know. Lead to
They don't understand the waves that makes.
Exactly. When they fired Byron Scott, they had Jeff Bauer, of all people, come in with Tim Floyd as the head assistant. And look how that turned out.
Yeah, it's not a very good situation when you have to go with an interim coach, and then the fans are like, then the fans say, well, why did we want that to happen?
Calling the fan base, ownership issue. That was another big issue during that time.
I'm glad that you were able to give us your opinion on the whole matter, and again, welcome to the team, and we look forward to working with you the rest of the way.
Look forward to working with you guys.
All right, great. Now get your ass back up in there. He made a good point. I mean, interim coaches in the middle of the season because you want the head coach fired. I mean, that doesn't make for a good situation.
It really doesn't. It makes things awkward, especially in the locker room, too, because you're used to having this one leader that you rally behind, you put your confidence in, but they're not getting that same support from the fans, and then when they're gone, you have either a brand new entity or somebody that you weren't really behind as much now calling the shots.
And now the same fans that are in remorse were the same fans that said that they wanted a specific coach fired.
Yeah. It's funny how those fans crawl back up into the word work when the situation gets worse than it was before.
Harvey Updike. We mentioned him in the last episode. Said he was quoted by saying he had too much Bama in him, whatever the heck that means. Thoughts when it comes to Harvey Updike?
Just a really, really, really passionate fan that might have had something else going on in his head. I mean, I'm a Tiger fan. I bleed purple and gold. I'm not an alumni of the university. I don't believe Harvey Updike's an alumni of Alabama either, but I've got a lot of LSU in me. I'm not going to go cut a tree down or poison a tree because LSU lost a football game. That's not me. It's not who I am, but I mean, I can't say the same for other people.
No disrespect to Alabama fans, but they seem to be the most passionate fans out of anybody that I know of. When parents of, now Bama fans who happen to be new parents, name their children, for example, no exaggeration here, Crimson Tide.
Or Alabama. I've heard that one before.
Now I can understand Paul Bryant, but then Bryant being the middle name. I can understand
Correct.
that it doesn't.
Oh yeah.
It's not. It's not that crazy.
Right.
Alabama, Crimson Tide. Do you know of anybody like that in the LSU fan base?
No. Simply put, no.
No. But they're probably the most passionate fans, which is a good thing, but then it's also a bad thing when it comes to Harvey Updike.
It is, but then I've made this observation too as well, Paul. For the 2012 BCS championship game, LSU-Bama, the rematch of the game of the century. Game of the century part 2.
Wait. We have to talk about this again?
I'm not even talking about the game, because you know how bad I get with that.
Okay, fair enough.
Being out in the quarter with family, taking in the atmosphere. It's a national championship game. We did it for '07. Ohio State fans knew how to party. They knew how to have fun.
Right.
You're in the party capital of the South, man. Have some fun
Pretty
with
much.
it. Bama fans walking around, arms crossed, looking around, upset looking, mad looking. They looked robotic. They didn't look like they were having fun.
This was before the game?
This is before the game.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, you got a free pass into the national championship game. Have some fun. Look where you are. Take in the scenery. At least be civil with an LSU fan or
Right.
two for once. I mean, honestly, if LSU had gone to Pasadena, we're partying.
Right.
Regardless of who we're playing.
Right. I don't know. Then these fans that take to the message boards that want to bash a player or bash a coach. Social media has really become one of those outlets where it's going to emotionally hurt a student athlete, a player, or possibly a coach. And then you're going to have these people that want to say what they want to say, but they're going to hide their true identities behind a message board handle.
Yeah, it's
Cowardice?
very. It's one of those things to where I'm going to bash you so I can kind of feel better about myself and get my opinion across, but I can't say who I am, kind of thing.
It gives people, regular folk, the opportunity to say what they feel and have no repercussions.
Right.
And that's a shame. And it's embarrassing to the university. It makes the university or whatever professional team you represent look bad.
I completely agree, because the fans are an extension of the organization. However the fans act, it's going to be perceived as how the organization acts and does business, or how the players are. And that often is not the case.
Do you think, do you think fans have so much pull that it's right for management and for a professional franchise or an athletic director at a university cave into that pressure? You think that's right?
I don't think it's right, but at the end of the day, when you think about it, the management guys, the GMs, the owners, and all these kind of guys, they look at bottom lines, and if the fans aren't happy, they're going to think of it as the fans are going to stop buying tickets, they're going to stop showing up to games, and then that puts them and their franchise in a financial hotspot that they don't want to be in. So eventually, for unjust reasons, but for, I guess, selfish financial reasons, they do cave into that fan pressure.
I'm telling you what, it's one thing to be a fan. I'm a fan, you're a fan, Ryan's a fan. This person that's coming down the bridge here, that she could be a fan of, or that person right there could be a fan of whatever entity she likes to cheer for. But you almost have to be objective sometimes, because it's the only fair thing to do.
Correct.
What I have a problem with a lot of the fans, especially the message boards that I read off of the Ole Miss message boards, is you want to bash a player when that player, or that, I'm not even going to call him a player, I'm going to call it a student athlete. When that student athlete reads that stuff and be like, man, why did I even choose to come here if this is what I got to see?
Exactly.
It makes that student athlete feel like crap for making the decision to come to Ole Miss, and then he realizes, oh, this is what it's really like. But it's not just at Ole Miss. It's probably at LSU. I know it's at Alabama, and I know it's at Auburn, and I know it's at least everywhere in the Southeastern Conference. And then it's probably the same way at other universities in college athletics.
Exactly, and it's just fans having that voice, and they feel like they need to, I guess, make a player second guess his ability because he cut left instead of cutting right, or he missed a kick. I mean,
I think kickers get it worse than anybody.
oh, kickers get it worse than anybody. I can admit right now, if you line me up at a 33-yard field goal attempt, give me 100 tries, I'll be lucky if I make one.
And that's even if it's dead center, much less on the left or right hash.
Exactly, and I don't have 12 guys, 11 guys running at me trying to kick my ass.
Well, I tell you what, I know what it's like to be a fan, but I also know what it's like to be on the inside of an athletics program. And let me tell you, it's a lot different inside the athletics program than to be on the outside looking in. And on the outside looking in and reading these message boards, it's embarrassing. It really is. And then my favorite ones are the ones that post something, think they know it, and then end up looking stupid.
Oh, those are the best ones, because then that's just poetic justice. When you post something and the person's so impassioned and so empowered, and then the complete 180 of what they said happens. I love it. You just look like a fool, bro.
Real quick before we end here, thoughts about in a rivalry situation. Thoughts about the fans of the other school worried more about what the other school is doing than their own school. How do you like about those fans?
Those are pretty bad. It's like, worry about what your team is doing, not what Joe Blow down the street's doing, and figure out, make sure your team's ready for the game instead of figuring out, hey, y'all suck. Oh, wait, what?
Be more passionate about your school or your professional team, and don't worry so much about what the other school or what the other team is doing, because it just really doesn't make you look good either. So that's about it. That wraps it up. Any final thoughts? No.
Nah.
I think we pretty much said everything that we wanted to say about
Pretty sure we
this.
did.
I want to thank a very special shout out to a buddy of mine out in Georgia, Matt Mosley. He's the one that suggested this topic to us, and I think he picked a good one.
I think he did too. But how long did this episode go?
Longer than it probably needed to. For the Sports Report, I'm Paul, this is Chris. We'll see you next time.